Hi, K-pop lovers. Welcome back to our channel. Hey Monsties, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, please hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single video about your favorite K-pop idols. And don't forget to comment down below, tell us which fact about Pharita surprised you the most, because trust me, by the end of this video, your jaw is going to be on the floor. Let's get into it. When you look at Pharita on stage, the sleek outfits, the powerful vocals, the effortless visual that made YG Entertainment's former CEO himself say she looks like she stepped straight out of a Disney movie, you probably picture someone whose entire life is perfectly polished and glamorous 24/7. But what if I told you that behind all of that princess energy, Pharita has a daily routine and a set of personal habits that are so specific, so quirky, and so deeply human that even the most dedicated monsties might be caught completely off guard? Stay with me, because we're about to go deep. Let's start from the very beginning of her day, because Pharita's morning routine is something that fans don't always hear about, but when they do, it becomes instantly iconic. Every single morning, before anything else, Pharita ties her hair up, washes her face, and goes straight into her skincare routine: moisturizer, Vaseline, and eye cream. K-profiles now that might sound simple, but here's what's fascinating about it. Vaseline as a core skincare step is something rooted in her Thai upbringing and personal preference, not some elaborate K-beauty 10-step program. It's grounded, it's practical, and it works for her. For a girl who is constantly under cameras and intense studio lighting, taking care of her skin every single morning without fail is not just a habit, it's a discipline. And discipline, as we'll keep seeing throughout this video, is basically Pharita's middle name. Now, here's the first thing that's going to catch you off guard, and it's something so small that most people overlook it completely. Pharita is the only left-handed member in all of BABYMONSTER. Fandom in a group setting where every choreography move, every camera angle, and every visual layout is meticulously coordinated. Being the only lefty in the room is a bigger deal than people think. She navigates an entirely right-hand dominant world every single day, from the way she writes, to the way she naturally gestures on stage. It adds a layer of uniqueness to her that is genuinely rare, not just in BABYMONSTER, but in K-pop groups in general. And if you've ever watched their performances closely and felt like Pharita has a slightly different energy in certain movements, well, now you know part of the reason why. But wait, keep watching, because the next part of her daily life is something that will completely flip the image you have of her. You see Pharita on stage and you think, confident, polished, commanding. But here's the truth, she is camera shy. K-pop singers, yes, you read that right. The main visual of BABYMONSTER, the member that YG themselves described as, like a princess from a Disney film, the girl who won grand prize and first place at the Intermodel Thailand competition, feels uncomfortable in front of cameras. Think about what that means for her daily life as a K-pop idol. Every single day, there are cameras everywhere. Backstage cameras, content cameras, fan cams during performances, interview cameras. And yet Pharita shows up, pushes through that discomfort, and delivers visuals that dominate timelines worldwide. That's not luck. That's a habit of pushing past personal limits every single day. Now let's talk about something that reveals her deeply thoughtful and intellectual side, and this one is going to make you fall even harder for her. When Pharita was just 10 years old, she created a presentation timeline to share facts about herself and describe her life. Netizens report a 10-year-old girl, sitting down and making a structured presentation about who she is, where she's going, and what she wants out of life. That's not a typical childhood hobby. That is the early sign of someone who thinks deeply, plans deliberately, and takes her own identity seriously. She was later selected from 1,226 candidates at the YG auditions Kpop, and when you understand that she had been mapping her own path since she was in elementary school, that number doesn't just feel impressive. It feels inevitable. Here's another habit that ties directly into her daily rhythm as a performer, and vocal fans are really going to appreciate this one. Pharita has a tendency to use her chest voice rather than mixing, which has been noted in analyses of her vocal performances. Fandom: this is a vocal habit that shapes how she approaches songs day in and day out, during rehearsals, during recording sessions, during live performances. It gives her voice a rich, warm, grounded quality that is distinctly hers. Her MBTI type is INTP, which means she is analytical and constantly thinking, and that trait extends to how she approaches her craft. Even her vocal habits aren't accidental, they're part of a deeply personal relationship she has built with her own voice since she was a child, through years of training and self-discovery. And speaking of things that make Pharita uniquely herself, let's talk about her leisure habits, because this is where it gets really interesting. After long days of practice and schedules, what does Pharita do to decompress? She watches anime. She is a huge anime fan and also loves movies like Despicable Me and Minions. K-pop clothes: yes, BABYMONSTER's main visual, the member people call the Princess of 5th Gen, on social media, spends her downtime watching animated films and anime series. There's something so genuinely refreshing about that. It tells you that away from the glamour and the stage, Pharita is still fully herself, curious, imaginative, and completely uninterested in performing a version of herself that doesn't feel real. That authenticity is rare in an industry that often pressures idols into maintaining a curated image even in their private moments. Now here is one of the most surprising daily quirks that Pharita has, and it's one that fans love bringing up because it's so specific and so vivid. She doesn't like sand and beaches because they make her feel dirty. K-profiles: for a lot of people, the beach is the ultimate relaxation spot. But for Pharita, the sensation of sand on her skin is genuinely unpleasant enough that she avoids it entirely. In a world where idol photo shoots often happen on beaches, where group trips to the ocean are a staple of variety content, Pharita has this firm, personal boundary that she holds onto without apology. It's specific, it's real, and it's deeply relatable, because every single one of us has that one thing that most people love but that we personally cannot stand. What she does love, however, is something far less expected. Pharita loves going to the zoo, and her favorite animals are giraffes and birds. K-profiles: on her days off, one of her genuine sources of joy is being around animals, particularly giraffes with their graceful height and birds with their freedom and elegance. If you think about it, there's something very Pharita about loving giraffes specifically. They are tall, visually striking, gentle, and completely unbothered. Sound familiar? The member who stands at 171 centimeters, carries herself with quiet elegance, and commands attention without even trying. Of course, giraffes are her spirit animal. Let's also touch on something about her connection to her roots, because this shapes her daily life in a way that is deeply emotional. Pharita's family lives in Thailand, and she moved to Korea alone to become a trainee. K-pop singers think about what that means on a daily basis. Far from home, in a country with a different language, different food, different culture, she trained for years before ever standing on a stage. The habit she built during that time, of pushing forward even when homesick, even when uncertain, even when the path ahead wasn't clear, is a habit that she carries with her every single day as a performer. And it's worth noting that she found living in the dorm her biggest challenge. K-pop singers when she first arrived in Korea. Not the training. Not the competition. The dorm. Because what hit hardest wasn't the work, it was learning how to live away from everything familiar. And that friendship with Blackpink's Lisa? That's not just a fun fan fact, it's a real part of her daily emotional landscape as an idol living far from home. Lisa appeared in Pharita's introduction video, ate rice with her and Chiquita at a Thai restaurant, and gave them both her signed CDs. K-pop singers having a sunbae who understands exactly what it means to be a Thai idol at YG, navigating Korean culture while staying true to your identity. That connection is genuinely meaningful. And Lisa even mentioned Pharita in a Rolling Stone interview, which speaks to the depth of that bond. Now, in 2025, BABYMONSTER launched their Hello Monsters World Tour and released their second extended play, We Go Up, continuing to grow as one of the most exciting girl groups in K-pop. Their debut studio album Drip sold over 1 million copies in South Korea. Wikipedia, proving that the discipline, the habits, and the relentless daily work that each member, including Pharita, puts in is translating into real, undeniable impact on a global scale. What makes Pharita's daily habits so compelling isn't any single one of them in isolation. It's the combination. The girl who diligently does her skincare every morning with Vaseline and eye cream. The only left-handed member in the group. The main visual who is genuinely camera shy. The 10-year-old who made a PowerPoint presentation about her own life. The idol who goes to the zoo on her days off and watches anime to unwind. The trainee who moved to a foreign country alone and quietly built herself into one of the most talked about visuals in the 5th generation of K-pop. Every single one of these habits tells you something real about who Pharita is when no one is performing, when no cameras are rolling, when it's just her being herself. And that, Monsties, is exactly why she is so impossible to ignore. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much, it genuinely means the world. Don't forget to like this video if you learned something new about our girl Pharita, hit subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss our next deep dive video, and comment down below with your favorite Pharita habit or the fact that shocked you the most. We read every single comment. See you in the next one. Bye Monsties. Blue Heart Annyeong.